Hey, party people, I'm back. Let's talk about, okay, first of all, this is the new set. For those of you who don't know, I moved to a more accessible floor plan space. And I don't know. Let me know what you think of the backdrop. I might move things around. This might be what it is for a while, whatever. Number two, let's talk about today's video topic, 3 ways to practice fashion design without doing a whole long, drawn out project with all the parts, okay? Because listen, soccer players, football for my international audience, okay? When they're training and practicing and trying to be better soccer players, football players, whatever, they don't just play games ad nauseum. They'll divide their team up into 2 teams and play each other ad nauseum. They also do cardio. They also lift weights. They often do dribbling practices. They do play games, with smaller teams, with the whole team, whatever. Okay, so they do a lot of different exercises in order to become better players. And so here are a few ways that you can practice being a fashion designer without having to do the whole thing. You could do some mini design groups as you prepare for your bigger design projects. Number 1. Create a capsule wardrobe for one person. Maybe that is a muse. Okay. Recently, a friend of mine, she introduced me to Candy Darling. If you know, you know. And now I'm a little bit obsessed, and I think about Candy Darling, and I think about what they might wear at a performance, what they might wear just walking down the street, think about those things. Okay. Let's pick somebody super famous so that we can all talk about it together. Let's say Rihanna, or is it Rihanna? Okay. Think about her attitude. Think about when I think of Rihanna, I think BDE. Okay. And we all know you don't need the D to have BDE. All right. So Rihanna screams BDE. She has that attitude, and it is also conveyed in what she wears, whether it's the red carpet, whether she shows up late to fashion shows, whether she's just partying. Not necessarily performances, because, performance costume is kind of a different sort of vibe altogether. But if that's the thing you want to do, is like, I would want to create these outfits for Rihanna performance, that's a different kind of design. But stuff you would see, running around with her kids and, her dude and everything. And try to create a capsule wardrobe where, let's say, she's only taking a limited number of outfits, throwing them into a bag, and like running off for a weekend at XY. You don't have to get all those details of her life right. But let's say she only could take like one bag, and it's going to be her absolute favorite things that she wanted to wear at a weekend here. And these few things convey her attitude, how she wants to express herself, the colors she wears, the cuts she likes. You're not going to put Rihanna in a frilly pink ball gown. I mean, not really. Okay. I would exclude also like things that are done in like magazine editorials, because I'm sure a star of her caliber has some say so, but there's also a lot of like creativity and story building. So think more in terms of like what she would wear in her ordinary, I was going to say ordinary life, but does she have an ordinary life? No, not really. But you know what I mean. Pull someone. And they don't have to be a famous person, just someone where you can get some details about their life. Like maybe, you want to dress your mom. Okay. Maybe you think she's great and she has the basis of a great personal style, but she could use some freshness in her working wardrobe, and you want to give that to her. Like, pick anyone and create a capsule wardrobe for this one person. Okay. And don't think too hard about it. Just like this, and maybe pull a board and edit some things and stuff like that. Okay. This exercise is really about trying to understand a customer and try to get a feel for what they need what they want to wear, and a few new things that you could inject to them that they would still vibe with. Practice method number 2, skip the color story. I get 100 million bajillion questions about color stories. How many colors? Which colors? Do you believe in trend forecasting reports for color stories? Like all these things. And all these questions are absolutely valid. I get it, okay? Color stories are very tricky. And color by themselves, color services are a multi-billion-dollar industry globally, okay? So I get it. And sometimes when we're working on a design project, you get to a step. Like, let's say you're a good Zoe Hong student and you go through my steps in order of design process. And if you have no idea what that means, I'll drop you some design process links in the description box below. But let's say, you do your brand development and you're figuring out your customer. Okay, you've got your inspiration images and now you're trying to pull your color story and you're so stuck on overthinking your color story, you get discouraged and you're like, F this project. Okay, next. What are we doing now? Something else. I don't like it. I need ice cream. Whatever your stress valve, release valve is, right? So skip it. Just skip it. Just pick one color. Just one color you like. Or even just like don't color it. Maybe the whole thing is black, okay? And do the rest of the project as you would, just with the one color. And I'm not trying to make things easier for you. When I do this, I make your brain think in new ways, okay? Because if you don't have the, I'm not going to say crutch, because color's not a crutch, but if you don't have the ability to use color contrast to make playful visual paths, and if you don't know what visual paths are, I am going to start talking about visual eye paths in a new series called F the Algorithm, Let's Get Geeky. Coming soon. But anyway, you have to think more about textures. And by textures, that could mean a lot of different fabrications, shiny things like satin, leather, PVC. You could be thinking about matte, fuzzy textures, boucles, tweeds, different woolens. You could be thinking about flat, matte textures like, wool gabardine, black cotton poplin, whatever, and putting these textures next to each other. You can also be thinking in terms of embellishments like adding feathers, beads, embroideries. Oh my gosh, the world of beads is so massive. I have a whole how to design with embellishments or a video that I'll link below also. But it forces you to also include all these things, whereas before maybe you're like, oh, there's a lot of color blocking, so I don't need to think about embellishments or designing motifs or anything like that. Additionally, you also have to think about making your silhouettes and your shapes and everything in the interior much more interesting. And because you don't have the distraction of color, you have to make sure your construction details are on point when you get to the making point of things. It might seem like, I don't have to do color. That makes everything so easy. Yay! Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. But it does force your brain to think in a different way and design in new ways. And that could be a really good practice strategy for you to make your brain go into a different way. And that could really open up a whole design world for you. A whole new. The third method for practicing fashion design is especially good for anyone who wants to be a creative director eventually. Okay. Now, I say this often. Anyone can come up with one cute dress, but designers, true designers, create cohesive but also varied collections season after season. So it's this building a collection skill set that we're going to be practicing with this third practice method. Okay, I want you to take a fashion collection, and that can be something you see online from a designer that you like, have mixed feelings about, hate, whatever, or it can be a project you did 3-4 years ago, an older one. I want you to take the collection and fix it. Okay? If it's an old project of yours, go ahead, take it out and redesign it. Like, try keeping the inspiration as is and the customer as is. Like, that's the direction of the collection, right? You're not doing the whole thing over again. You're going to look at the color story and say, oh, maybe like take this color out and swap it with this one. Maybe this needs a different pink, what have you. And then move on to your fabric board and listen. I used to teach upperclassmen. They're like, I don't know what I was thinking when I pulled these fabrics as a freshman. Like, my knowledge of fabric has grown so much. I can't even believe I was trying to make these ball gowns out of ripstop nylon. And I wasn't even trying to go for like the North Face deconstructed look or anything like that. Okay, whatever. As our knowledge grows, we just get better. Go ahead and go through your sketches and pull out the ones that you want to keep. Because listen, I mean, I still have some old stuff that I like. You know, some old stuff makes me cringe, for sure, okay? But there are definitely still things that I like, and then go ahead and edit them. You don't have to overhaul the whole thing, but practice looking at old stuff, critiquing it, and fixing it like, oh, if I did this with the proportions, this is, you know, something that is more in tune with my customer. This is more flattering. Now that I have this new pink, everything kind of contrasts better or works better around this warmer pink, okay? Or you can take a collection from online. And honestly, you know, you can do this with someone you love, like a design house that you absolutely love. But this is also good for ones that you don't particularly like, not the ones you hate, okay? And I'm not going to list any. I know which ones that, you know, y'all love to hate on my channel when I do runway reviews, okay? I think I should be doing a runway reviews video soon. Let me know if there's a particular designer that you want me to review soon in the comments. But pick one where you're kind of like, you know, like some of the stuff is cool, some of it's not. Like, I think those are the best ones to look for, and pull one of those designers and look at their whole collection, go through it. You know, you can screenshot them from online, you can download the pics and kind of line them up and be like, okay, these, you know, all the style numbers are not numbered, right? It's like number 2 through 7, 10, 14, like these are flawless. They're magical. They're beautiful. You know, put them in my wardrobe immediately. And there are some that are like, you're going to see, like, I swear every designer does this, where there's always like 1 to 3 styles where you're like, where do these go? Why are they here? They don't use the same fabric as anybody else. They're like, the cuts are all weird. Why are they here? There's going to be a couple you just want to take out completely. Okay. And then there's going to be some where, oh, you know, if this was like this would be better. If it was like this could be a lot more extravagant. This could be a little shorter. You know, this one needs a jacket. Although, you know, don't get too wrapped up in the styling of things, but more in the design of things, okay? Unless you're a stylist, unless you're studying to be a stylist. You know what I mean? Anyway, so go through them like a creative director would. Creative director looks at all the ideas on the plate and says, good, bad, needs work. You know, this just needs a little change. Wouldn't this be cuter in green? Like, go through the whole collection and fix it, okay? This is great practice for practicing evaluating, editing, you know, checking things out. And, you know, designers get in this trap, okay? And listen, I do the same thing. So I'm not talking mess about anybody, because I do the same. Designers get in this trap where they fall in love with the design sometimes, and it becomes their baby for that collection. And when it comes down to editing, even if it might not really fit in with everything, it was their baby from since they started designing the collection, and they cannot let it go. They just can't. And they should probably let it go. So since this is not your collection, you know, you can practice that whole, like, really honing in on what doesn't belong there. You have no emotional attachment to any of the designs. This is also why I don't want you to use a designer that you love too much, because you might actually have emotional attachment to the designs. But pick someone that's kind of medium, okay? And revise it, okay? This is called merchandising. This is called editing. This is called creating a collection, because it's not about 1 or 2 dresses. It's about putting together a whole collection for the season, and designers need to know how to do that. All right. Start small. You know, there are definitely some designers, like some design houses, you know, do like 80 looks. Like Valentino does these really big collections. I would recommend you stay away from those kinds of huge, massive collections in the beginning that can get a little wieldy. I would recommend going for smaller designers because they tend to have smaller collections of like maybe 30, 40 looks. I think that is also a really great way to practice fashion design. Let me know in the comments if you want more ways to practice fashion design. Give some design briefs on, you know, design direction for collections. If you can't figure anything out, drop them in the comments below. I'm glad to be back, y'all. And I will see you in the next video.